Cool. All right. So I'm just gonna do some recording because I'll make this available to I'll upload it to YouTube. If there's ever a time when you guys talk about any specifics about your business, you want us to like pause or kick out some of these bots, just say the word and we'll do that, and we'll get into some of the specifics. Um, okay, Barry, I see you're entering again. So
Yep.
yeah, okay, that's great. Okay. So all right, good, perfect. All right, well, what I'll do, I think Jackie, maybe I'll need to add you to our webinar team. I think everybody else maybe that's on the call so far is already a part of it. But I'll share a board that we're going to use during this call. So I'll drop a link in the chat, and Jackie, you can DM me your email address, and I'll make sure that I add you to the webinar team. What, assuming you have an account with it within STS
Sure.
already, and if you don't,
Um,
we'll provide that link too.
oh yeah, yeah. I
Barry,
don't
you're
have it
muted
yet.
again. Sorry,
Yeah,
Jackie.
she doesn't have the STS account yet, but we'll make sure she does.
Okay, yeah, no problem. I'll just drop the link to get an account here real quick. Okay. Right on. Okay, thank you, Jackie. So use that same one to create an account with that link I just dropped there, and then we'll add you to the team that can access
I will
this
enter it.
board. Thank you. Okay, cool. So I'll go ahead and share my screen, and I'll talk us through what we're going to do today. This is, I have an agenda here, and you'll see it if you can access that link I provided. What's not in here is just Q&A, and really this is like for anything, anytime, just ask questions. So, if we're talking about something that you don't understand, you want us to dive a little bit deeper into, just stop us anytime, and we'll just get into it. You could drop things into the chat too, or just raise your hand, or unmute yourself. We don't mind. In fact, we like a rigorous conversation and debate. Just ask any of us on the team. So
we call it team dynamics.
Exactly, healthy team dynamics. So perfect. Okay, great. So we'll give a little bit of backdrop on STS, and then we'll get into some of the specifics about some of the features. So really, one of the main objectives, there's several objectives with these webinars. Sorry, a few more people just entering, so give them a second. One of the main objectives of this is just to make sure that everybody knows their way around STS. So they know you guys know the basic features. Because this isn't a kind of tool you just, Francis, yeah, you raise.
Jackie, you're on. You're in. So you can follow the link that Ben provided.
Okay, cool.
Sorry for the interrupt.
Yeah, that's all right. But thanks for doing that. So we want to make sure that you know how to use the tool, because this is not like, this is a tool that's actually a lot more powerful than, say, just a chat GPT where you can go in and just start chatting. So it requires a little bit more understanding as to how to really make this work the best for you, and what you want to do with it. If you want to just go chat, you can do that now, including within STS. You can use the ask and find feature, which we'll talk about here shortly. But the point is that there's a lot more features here. So we want to make sure that you and your team know how to use them effectively, so really leverage this tool. So that's one of the main objectives. The second is actually to give you something you can work with after these calls. So we're going to talk about some of the features. We're going to talk about way to use it. I'm going to show you today about how to build a knowledge base within STS. But then beyond that, we want to talk about the specific use cases and challenges that you're facing. And I actually took some of the responses from the registration, some of the things that you guys are interested in, and we can talk about those things and see how we can build it out within STS. So afterwards, you have a tool you can use. right? So you'll see this is a very collaborative, adaptive platform that we can build out for your specific use cases. We have our favorites, we have our, the kind of the market that we're addressing, but like a good tool, a good versatile tool, you can use it for a lot of things. So we want to make sure that you know what some of those use cases are and to address some of the challenges you have. And then after this call, you can continue to use it. Anything you guys would add to that? Priya, Francis, Paul, anybody from the team? Sound good? Okay. All right, great. So, I haven't introduced myself. I know just about everybody here, but my name is Ben Clayton. I'm the Chief Engagement Officer within STS. So I'm helping just make sure everybody knows how to use the tool and really build the community. And I joined the team just about a year and a half ago, after I met Francis and heard his background on the story. So, Francis, I'll hand it over to you, but I'll let Priya and Paul and maybe anybody else on the team would like to introduce himself quickly in your role with the team.
Sure. I'm Priya. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer at STS and PhD in Industrial Organizational Psychology, and really working with various individuals to understand how we can help make STS better for you to support your decision-making, planning, and strategy needs.
Great. Thanks, Priya. Paul.
I've been around probably for the longest among the advisors surrounding Francis, and have a long career as a CEO of different organizations, international charities, and have a particular interest these days in experiential learning, XR, and how we can interface with spatial computing.
Awesome. Thanks, Paul. And Charlie, do you mind introducing yourself as well?
Yeah, no problem at all. So I'm Charlie Slavin. I'm based out of Cincinnati, Ohio. My background goes back into accounting, finance, information systems, change management, but I've been practicing as a project manager for a very long time. And been in process engineering. I'm getting involved in angel capital investing. So there's a number of areas I want to learn how to use STS to build some foundational knowledge, capture that knowledge in the boards and the frames and the line items, so that if somebody else comes into STS, that may be a reusable framework that they can get value out of, and that way they're not starting from scratch, from day one. But Priya and I worked on about 15 months ago some framework in project management. And within 30 minutes, we were able to create some project management documents that I told her that it would have taken me and 3 other colleagues 4 days to do that work. So it's a highly leverageable asset. And I think we can do the same thing with many other domains. I'm also involved with Northern Kentucky University and helping them craft their artificial intelligence offerings within the College of Informatics, and how to integrate that into the entire disciplines, all the disciplines within the College of Business. So I just met with the Board of Advisors there this last week. And then I met with another fellow earlier today, who's an AI local expert. And he's getting on the staff at the University of Michigan to do exactly the same thing. So he and I are going to collaborate on how to start bringing out college graduates that are, say, marketing graduates, but they know how to leverage AI for marketing purposes within the business community. So those are all the things that I'm involved in, and I'm excited to be here. So thanks for inviting me into this very great forum.
Fantastic. Thank you, Charlie. Obviously, there's a lot of great use cases you brought up there. We're going to hit on some of them, and it actually addresses some of the questions that folks have asked about in registration. So thanks for that. And David, why don't you give a quick introduction? You started to help out the team just a few weeks ago, so I'd love for you to say a quick word.
Sure, happy to do so. Hi, my name is Dave Rothenberg. I have been in the tech industry for, a little bit over 20 years. And over that period of time, I've spent roughly equal amounts of time in software development as a software engineer and engineering manager. Then moved into product management for about 7 years as well. And most recently have really been focusing on marketing. And that's what I'm here to do with STS, help them roll out a lead generation plan and actually eventually a complete marketing plan. And it's an application that once I first heard of it, I knew that I had to give it a try. And when I sat down to see what it could do, within a very short amount of time, I was able to generate a comprehensive go-to-market plan for another AI company that I'm working with in a consulting capacity. And if I had not had STS to help me do this, this would have taken several days at least, possibly a week, to get all the information and to put it all into the proper format and to make it nice and clear and readable while still having lots of information in it. So that's what inspired me to want to help the team see how quickly we could get to market with this product and how quickly we could start building a real substantial audience of users for them.
And
Great.
David, if I know your story, you spent about a day learning STS and creating the go-to-market plan, and then ended up saving yourself about a week of time because you spent the time to learn STS.
Yes, exactly.
Awesome. That's great. Thank you, David. A lot I could talk about with that, but I was just curious, anybody on the call, like how many of you guys have actually had to do this for yourself, like either your go-to-market or your marketing strategy? Like, yeah, Bob. Yeah, David, definitely. Okay, Jonathan. Okay, yeah, great. All right, good. So I'm going to show you one way we can do that with STS once we get into which is going to be like the fourth item there is building your own knowledge base, which will become the basis of how you're going to work with STS and AI. So kind of like what David did once he learned how to use the system, started building out that context and then started using it to help with the specific challenge. Okay, thanks everybody. Without further ado, Francis, your background and then I'll let you take it from there.
I just realized something, and I'm not making that up, right? The STS website is, we refer to it as STS 42, and I'm sure many of you understand the story behind it. One of the stories behind it. What I just realized, like literally a minute ago, is that my first line of coding to build an AI was exactly 42 years ago. Can you believe that?
Wow.
So it was at the launch that it was after I had seen the movie War Games with Matthew Broderick. So some of us are old enough to remember that. And I will not spoil it. I don't know if it aged well or not, but it's the story of a giant computer that realizes that not everything is computable, which is, I think, a very apt metaphor for what STS is all about. So a bit less metaphorical, but more concretely, STS really, when I dreamt of it, I was looking for a tool to help me think and collaborate with AI and with other people on important and challenging questions. And there's such a plethora of tools today that either use AI or that are AI native and all of that. So whether it's Perplexity, I'm sure most of you have tried it. It's a great tool. ChatGPT, obviously, but all of the many other tools. Vibe coding is all the rage right now, and there's no shortage of tools that do AI. And so what's different about STS is STS is not a feature. It's not we're not building something that is missing from these other tools. We are building towards the solution to a problem. And so as the technology evolves, as other vendors are offering more and better AI, more and better features, capabilities, we are going to continue to leverage these capabilities, assemble them, and add our own unique IP on top of that. And with really that very clear focus of STS is not about chat. If you want to chat, you have ChatGPT or go find a friend. STS is about getting things done. It's about making a decision and coming up with a plan that you and your team can get behind and then go to work. So that's our focus. That's our bias. And this is what all of us involved in STS have been doing all our career, essentially in various capacity, helping ourselves and others build plans, make sense of the world around us, and uh, hopefully STS is a right tool to help you accomplish that.
Great. Thank you, Francis. Any questions, or just like this is office, it can stoke some good conversation, and just like to offer up an opportunity to talk now. We can come back to this too. Um, Actually, you know what? I think what I'd like to do, if there's nothing pressing, is Priya, I'd love to hand it over to you, and we can start like segueing to kind of the vision that Francis had and what was starting to be built, and then getting into the actual like some of the main features, just so everybody like knows how to use them, and we can get into some of the special like the updates that have happened in the last couple of weeks.
Okay, so I am unmuted. My objective here is to really give you a framework for thinking about STS to prepare you for what Ben is going to show you regarding the marketing. So I want to walk you through a few thought processes that you would likely go through when using STS to set up the tool so that you are able to access your knowledge in the best way to achieve your goals. And it may sound simple, but when we don't think about it, then you feel it's possible that people might feel lost. So the first thing you want to think about, so STS in some respects is a tool to help you manage projects and have an accessible knowledge base with a number of advisors. So a project could be anything. It could be a project Ben did a hackathon a couple of weeks ago to save the ocean. It could be a project to do your marketing. It could be, an internal project to, build a product within your company. It could be a project that's related to solving a specific problem and innovating to create a new solution. So there's many, many ways you could think about projects within the STS environment. And if we have time towards the end of the call, I'll show you the template that Charlie and I built, which you may want to use for another purpose. But when you think about a project, you think about your team members. So the way STS is designed is you can create a team to your left and just name it. So I'll call it team number one. And then very simply, you're able to add your team members. So if they've already signed into STS, you just add their emails to this space, email, whatever it is, and then add another team member so you can add as many as you want, create team. So whoever's in this team, now that's not going to work because they didn't put in proper emails, but whoever is in this team will now have access to this team called team exclamation point, as it turns out. Um, so then the next thing you want to do is think about your work in terms of projects, right? So we have a large project, and within that project are components. And within those components are the details of your project. So think of your project in terms of potentially a number of folders or one primary folder. So I'm going to create a folder here, and I'll call it project exclamation point because that's the theme. And I am already in that team. And so now our project is here. And let's say it's a marketing project and I want to change that. So I can come back and edit my folder and I'll call it project marketing. And so I'll update it. And then I want to think about, well, what would be the components of this marketing project? So perhaps we want some company details. So I'm going to add this tool and I'm going to just call it company details. So this would be, mission, add a list to the right, your vision. I might add another list to the right, customer segment. And I might add another list to the right. whatever our solution is, right? So you get the idea. So you can create a board with all the details of your company. Then you might say, okay, well, we want to create another board where I'm going to create a board here. And let's say I'm going to add successful marketing campaigns. So now I can start adding campaign 1, and maybe I'll add some metrics for these campaigns. And I could add another list to the right, or I might create multiple cards, but there's different ways I can organize my campaigns. And then I can put all the details of those campaigns in these lists. And I might work with the AI here to evaluate those campaigns. So I might work with my marketing officer because it's a marketing campaign and look at that campaign from a number of different perspectives. But then I want to create a new campaign. So I would create a new board here for my new campaign. So I'll just call it new campaign. And so I can create a board here. And now I can work with let's say it's a marketing campaign, and I can start pulling from my other boards to build out this marketing campaign. I can start pulling knowledge from these boards. So I can add a board. So there's my marketing project, and I can add company details. So I'll confirm this, and I'm going to want some of my customer segment, my mission, vision, our solution. Now the AI automatically takes that information into account to build this campaign. Let's say I wanted to pull in some of my most successful campaigns, so I can pull that in campaign 2 and 1, they're both very successful. So now the AI starts to take in that knowledge that we've built in over a period of time because I thought about it in advance and I put the information into the folder that would be relevant to creating a new campaign. And I can pull from that information and start building new campaigns based on the approach and strategy that I use. So I wanted to just share that with you. So now you can sort of think about STS in terms of we have a team, our project is in the folder, the components of our project are the company, the successful campaigns, our new campaign, and then the lists become the details of all of those projects. And we are able to work with our AI advisors looking at information from different angles, whether that's an AI type question, a marketing question, a sales or a strategy type question. And if you're using marketing, you'd probably want to use a creativity consultant to get some creative marketing ideas. So now you have a whole team that you're working with in this space where you've built a project. And so I wanted to sort of lay that groundwork because now Ben is going to show you what that could look like in practice. Good, Ben? And if anyone has any questions.
There's a question from Jonathan, but I think I will probably address it at the end of the
Okay.
call.
Okay.
All right, perfect. All right, thanks. Yeah, but keep them coming. If you have more questions, just add them there. So this is perfect in theme with what I had created too.
I have to add one thing, just so you know, Ben and I didn't even talk. That's how good we are.
No, it's going to be, yeah, it's exactly on par.
We are Borg.
After a while, you just kind of merge. So here's our business context. And one of my early ahas with STS was doing exactly this. I started to think about I think our go-to-market actually initially and well before David and so basically who was going to be our target audience. Okay, this is a cool tool, it solves a lot of problems, but who are we going to actually start talking to and how are we going to talk to them? And so we started to gather that information out of our conversations, and once we started talking to people, our feedback that we were getting from folks like yourselves. And then we started to build out that company knowledge within STS. And we could even pull this out, like we have our meetings, like I'm using the agenda in our webinar here. Like, we use these boards as a place to host our meetings. So when we have conversations, we have decisions to be made. I think we went into this in our last call. we pull this, we pull that information in and we make decisions, and then that becomes like, new direction, new context for our business. And then so we can add it to something like our business context board. Like if we all of us sharing this, we can add new information, new clients, new products, that kind of thing. So just as an example, I have my mission and vision, business model, our target customers, value proposition, key strengths, what problems does STS solve, go to marketing, et cetera, long-term vision and growth, et cetera. And actually, this is really good too. I think Priya, one of your first things that you really tried out, one of your use cases you tried out was actually creating a deck, right? So like each one of these lists could be a slide on a deck or a presentation. So you can work out kind of the rough draft that you have initially, start working with AI, get some ideas, and just build it out from there. And then once you have that, it becomes the basis for the work that you can do beyond this. So I had this idea to use STS to actually come up with ways to, I'm kind of going off script a little bit, but I want to show you, this was an idea that I had just recently. Can I use AI to help me design AI boards? And so what I did was I gave it the context of what STS does, and then I asked the ChatGPT, or in this case, what I'm using here, to help me design, like, what should my frames and lists and cards be if I wanted to, say, do something like strategic planning, or maybe building my company knowledge base, which I'll show you in a minute. Or maybe like there's a lot of noise out there. Can I create a board to help me really focus on what's important? And I got some really amazing suggestions, and I've started to build boards out from this using the instructions that I developed within STS. And so with the building your company knowledge base, similar to what Priya was just showing you, here's my steps to get started. Mission, vision, values, products and services were suggested. This all makes sense, right? Customer segments, policies. Like, I feel like I need to pause just when it comes to policies and business processes. I worked as a business consultant for 8 years, but helping companies become more efficient. And one of the main problems that I saw across companies, large and small, was that they don't have any of their business processes listed at all. So it's a massive risk to their business if, say, somebody leaves, gets fired, or takes sick leave or maternity leave or whatever. No one knows how to do their job once they're gone. I saw this more often than not, which just blew my mind. And so I spent a lot of time helping companies map out their basic processes. So once you have that and you have it in a place which basically becomes a knowledge base, what you can do then is that you're reducing your risk. But you're also saving a lot, your employees and also your customers, a ton of time when you basically tap into a knowledge base, so you can answer your basic questions, like what are our, say, sick leave policies or maternity leave policies, or anything that basically that requires some kind of documentation of your policies for operations should be one centralized location. Same thing with processes. FAQs, we've seen this a lot now with the emergence of a lot of these bots. Load in your FAQs and then have it in a place where your clients can actually access it and they can answer your own questions. And on that point, I'll just show you, we have something very similar. Within our colleague, you can go to this question, STS help assistant. And what that does is it will tell you how to use a board. So it's kind of like that. We've taken the documentation that we've outlined on how to use STS, we've loaded it into a bot so that you can ask questions about how to use STS itself. So, basically the same idea. Okay, so now I'm gonna put this thing to test. Now that I've listed all this thing out, the mission, values, et cetera, these are all the things that I need in order to create my company knowledge. And so what I'm going to do is, I've already done this, just like Priya was showing you just a minute ago. I'm going to bring in from my STS business context board that I showed you just a minute ago, all of these different aspects that we've been building out over months to help me fill this out. So once I hit save, I'm going to simply type, help me fill in the blanks. And let's see how it does. But remember, you can do this for anything. Like if I want to set up a new marketing strategy, a new campaign, launch a new product, I can ask whatever question I want against my business context and bring it in. So here's the information I provided. The mission of STS is to help people think strategically and through optimal blend of human wisdom and artificial intelligence. Hey, that's a great place for me to start. I like it. So actually, it's from our knowledge base, so I know it's good. It's exactly that. So here I can see it's answered all the questions. It's filled in all the blanks. And so I can just simply move things over as I need, however you want to do this, just to make it into your knowledge base based on the other boards. Let's see, you got vision, company history, products and services. Looks like it got everything. Great. And so once I fill this out, then I really do have a company knowledge base. And I understand, obviously, I have this already here, but I'm just showing you how you can do it from, say, other boards that you've created for, say, marketing or for any of your research that you've done. You can just bring that context into a new board to make it as succinct as and clear as possible for the work at hand. So I'm going to stop there and ask if anybody has any questions, or we can dive into something specific.
I did want to add a little thing, just point something out that I don't know if you observed what Ben was doing there, but I've noticed a lot of people when they transition from ChatGPT and they start using STS, they want to give STS very, very lengthy prompts that are similar to ChatGPT, and they get frustrated because STS doesn't produce the same type of response. What Ben did is he selected the context and he asked a very simple question. So the thing you can do with STS that you do not need to do, the thing that you have to do with ChatGPT, which is write a very long, complicated prompt with code words, you don't need to do that in STS. You just speak basic English and ask it questions. So even if you didn't know where to start, you can always start with a basic question with STS and then start building and adding the context as Ben was doing. And as you start adding that context, STS automatically gets smarter with respect to your specific business and your needs. And you can ask very simple questions. So just wanted to point that out because we do it very naturally here.
Thanks, Priya. Barry.
Yeah, so really this is a question, but it's also, I think, a statement for Jackie's benefit, is that the idea of STS is, the way I see it, is whereas ChatGPT might have a knowledge base about me to a certain degree if I ask it to remember something. Most of the stuff that you put into ChatGPT disappears after like 10 minutes. They don't retain that knowledge. So building your company's knowledge base and being able to bring in these large language models using STS is going to give you a lot better results, more accurate, and also able to collaborate between other people within the company. And I'm completely winging it here because I did sit in on an STS webinar at one point back when OpenEXO days. But also you can use this for, if you are an AI consultant company or you're building a framework for somebody, you can use STS for each one of your clients. Like you're creating an entire knowledge base for your client and therefore able to deliver better quality results and suggestions and actions to your clients. Am I correct in saying that, Ben?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, in fact, you make me want to like spin up a board just to show you how to do that. But Francis, go ahead.
Yeah, so very, very good point, Barry. One of the things that I want to emphasize though, I was asked yesterday by someone, like, the LLMs are getting larger and larger context window, which is basically code for short-term memory, if you want. And as those context window becomes larger and larger, it's going to become very tempting for people to just dump everything about themselves or their business or whatnot in a like just a black box, kind of a blob of here's everything about me, and then asking question to the LLM and hoping that the LLM will be able to make sense of that. And it might not. So one of the things that is very powerful about STS is that yes, you can and you should. It's a great idea to put all of your business knowledge context into STS, but then being able to selectively decide this is what's relevant for that questions or that topic or that project, and don't bother yourself about our 5-year growth plan or X or Y. Like maybe you do, but you can selectively decide. We call that curating the context that the AI sees, and that's a very powerful twist also on the same idea.
I want to sort of add to what you're saying, Francis. I feel like ChatGPT often encourages you, or other sort of chat agents, not just ChatGPT, but that vertical type often encourages you to turn off your brain and just start asking questions. And I feel like STS encourages you to turn on your brain and say, what is relevant? What do I need? What kind of question should I ask? How should I set this up? Whereas you can get very passive when you're using those other types of chat interfaces. STS will help you keep your job.
Bob?
Thanks, Ben. So I guess if we're comparing to, a public LLM, I mean, I guess I'm more interested in comparing it to like ChatGPT Plus, where I'm giving it, let's say I'm creating my own, right? I'm giving it system instructions, not just prompts, right? Because this doesn't feel like a fair comparison to just dump in. I understand what you're saying, Priya, like, everyone has their little acronyms, right? You got to follow, give it context, a role, give it all those things. And you've already sort of parsed that out with the structure and what you're showing. So I get that, but yeah, to me, it would be, how does this potentially displace either custom, GPT or a custom agent that I could create? Maybe I'm even jumping ahead to say it's an agent and not, an assistant. But how do I use, like, for the social media example, right? And Ben, you and I have talked about this a little bit before, but if I'm trying to streamline, my workflow and I want to have it, check and understand the tone or, temperature or however it's sort of gauged in terms of how it's going to respond on my behalf, whether it's sending emails or doing outreach or, things like that. I'm much more interested in how each of those steps in the process or the workflow are sort of compiled. And does STS in that sense, first, does it have that capability? And second, does it obviate the need to use like a make.com or Cassidy or like one of those kinds of, platforms, or is that separate and that's more an orchestration and a connective tissue kind of thing? So I guess I'm just trying to get my frame of reference around what this displaces in terms of what other, tools and task execution, things like that, it would account for.
So I'll take that one. So great questions. There's a lot to debunk from your question. First off, you're completely right. Like, you can do everything that STS does, you can do with other tools, because that's what we're doing, right? So you talked about system prompts, for example. So yes, that's one of the trick that we're using, is that part of that context is being sent as a system prompt as opposed to a user prompt. And this is the kind of things that I don't know that you can do it with out of the box ChatGPT. Maybe you probably can with the GPTs, but not with the public interface. So you're correct. Like, in terms of the result that you get, you can get the same result if you go through the same thinking process that we've gone through to build STS, right? So you're not off by that. main difference is how STS organizes that content and make it very easy to switch from, from one section to another section, from one system prompt to another system prompt, but also to switch from, not having, like, if you build a GPT and then uh, I'm not sure if today, can we have two GPT talk to one another? I don't think that we can. Can we? I don't know, but we can do that in STS, right? But
Yeah.
also, let's say that you've invested all this time building your user prompt and system prompt and all of your knowledge base in a GPT, and then you realize that, darn, Claude is really stronger now. It's moving ahead, or it's better for this type of use case. It's going to be like you're going to have to rebuild everything else into because your data will be captive to that one vendor. Well, with STS, we are what I like to say LLM agnostic. So let's say you've invested the time to build your knowledge base within STS, but you want to use Cloud, or you want to use Llama, or you want to put it into like a sandbox environment because you're going to deal with highly sensitive stuff. All of these things are possible with STS because really our focus is not the LLM itself, but the work that you want to do, and we want to make it much easier than for most people. Even I'm going to assume that most people in this call have not, had to deal with system prompt versus user prompt because this is kind of like under the hood. So we're trying to make it seamless and easy. One of the highest praise I think that we've received recently is someone telling us it was an Australian bank, people responsible for implementing AI there, and they stopped me at one point and said, Francis, I don't understand, the prompts you're using are so simple. Well, it's because once you organize the content in a way that makes sense for you, we make sure that also makes sense for the AI. So in terms of what we displace, I think we 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 don't displace anything. I see ourselves more as enabling you to take advantage of whatever is available, but doing it in a way that you essentially bring your knowledge to whichever LLM you want to use, and structure it. And so it's really, as far as I can see, I've not seen anyone like building that type of knowledge base approach. So like maybe like a company like Notion could do it if they had that on their radar, but their business model is so different that like, so
Yeah.
from that perspective, like think about that. If you use Notion and you organize all of your content just the way that we organize our frames and our list, and then you figure out how to use Notion's AI to point it to one Notion board versus another, you might be able to achieve the same result. But again, like, it's not their focus is not the same as ours. Ours, I think, is more
Right.
attuned to what you're trying to accomplish. And going back to what I said earlier, like, we're not about a feature that nobody else have thought about, but once they see it, they can reproduce it. Really, our focus is on what is the job that you all have to do, and how can we make you successful at that job? And these are the features that we're building progressively. We're still, it's not perfect, but certainly we're going in the direct direction of understanding what you need collectively and individually, and delivering to those needs according to whatever priorities that we're hearing from you.
And I think I'll add a little bit to what Francis is saying is in terms of your question, Bob, if I understood it correctly, our focus is primarily on that sort of upfront decision-making piece. So strategy, planning, decision-making with advisors. And I'm not saying that we won't go agentic in the future, but we're less agentic and send the email out for you. So if you wanted to remove a human from the process, that's not even our philosophical basis. We want to keep humans in the process and support their decision making so they make decisions and build strategies better and faster. So to the extent that I don't know where the future will go, but
Yeah.
that helps answer the question.
Yeah. Well, it definitely helps make me feel more comfortable because I have, I guess, a similar philosophy. I'd rather like I want to hit the button. I want final approval. I want to know exactly what it's saying. I want to read it, and make sure that what goes out is representing, my, personal, brand, and perhaps adding some context from my relationships and things of that nature. And I guess when I saw the drop down list of all those like C-suite roles, one of my other questions was, is each was each of those developed as an individual sort of agent, such that I could, before I send something out, like, do I need legal approval? Let me run this through the chief, legal officer. Do I need HR approval? Do I need to send this through this CHRO, agent, to give me that lens, right? And so, am I getting essentially the collective intelligence of my C-suite with, a set of agents, or, some might call it my
So
own
the, the,
agency.
the answer would be no, but yes. So,
Okay.
so let me debunk that a little bit. So uh, all the C-suite, we call them colleagues that you saw, were really designed, as Priya mentioned, as advisors, like AI colleagues that help you think through whatever decision process or whatnot. Not necessarily like worker bees that gonna go and do the thing
Yep.
without you being involved. That being said, in a uh, not too distant future, we want to use these colleagues and empower them. And you mentioned, I think, Make or Zapier or some kind of other integration. And so at some point, we will want those colleagues to have whatever level of autonomy that you want to give them to go fetch content, you mentioned, making sure that your brand is being reflected into whatever is being produced. So one of the things that we're just about to release and is an ability to generate like a fully formed document from the board that has your logo and your like legal terms and all of that already included. Uh, so, and to maybe I'll just take a second to answer Jonathan's questions regarding PDF. So right now, what you can do is you can copy the content from whatever document and paste it into a card in STS, and then just point the AI to it, and it will work. We have completed the module that actually reads a PDF. And we're going to add additional modules to read. Like I've done something very similar to what you mentioned. I was on a call with an investor, and I went to the LinkedIn and just copy pasted his LinkedIn description into a context card in STS, and then ask STS to write me the draft of a blog based on my profile, and then it just created one. So right now it's a little bit of copy paste, but as we're prioritizing the kind of things that you're doing or that you need to do to be more effective, we'll make these like more effective and more automated than manual as it is today.
I also want to add a little piece from the advisor. So think about the advisors as providing a perspective on your content. So versus, is this filtering through legal? I wouldn't trust AI to make that decision on your behalf. I would
Not quite.
Yeah.
to a lawyer. But to say, how would what's HR's point of view on this information, and what's legal's point of view, and what is marketing's point of view? So you're getting those different points of view on the information that you provide, which will help you think things through in more detail and make better decisions. Does that help?
Yeah, right. So it's more of a persona providing a perspective as opposed to an agent that's going to actually do something.
Yes.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Yes.
Larry has a question, I think.
You're
And it's
muted.
Learn how to turn that thing on. So what I take it is that, if I'm going on to ChatGPT or Claude or whatever, if I'm going to ask a legal question, I want it, I want you to act as a contract attorney, and then it's going to do its best to answer in a way that a contract attorney does. With your colleagues, pretty much it's baking into that persona into the prompt that is going to whatever LLM we're using, right? These aren't like pre-programmed agents. I think that's what Bob might have been getting to, where maybe you guys have already created them and they have PhD level intelligence in different areas. It's just you're just
No,
saying.
no AI agent has PhD level intelligence. I'm sorry,
Oh,
but
maybe. Yeah. Oh,
yet.
I thought if anybody would, it would be you guys. But at any rate, but yeah, so the point is that those different colleagues are just going to go into the system and it's going to create a prompt that's going to be specific to that colleague's whatever it was that you chose, whether it's a contract attorney or a travel agent or whatever it might be. That's the way they're going to pose the prompt or the question, right?
Yeah, and uh, as we like one of the things that we'll be adding very soon is the ability to RAG, the technical term. So if the prompt is the short-term memory of the AI, the RAG is its long-term memory. Our agent or colleagues, I'm going to call them colleagues. Our colleagues will soon be able to not only take that perspective, that point of view of legal, just as when you ask ChatGPT, please answer this question as if you were a legal contract advisor or something like that. But we'll also be able to go through, let's say, all of the policies that are specific to your client or your client's industry, and have that additional focus again, like anyone can ask a generic question from ChatGPT and have a generic answer. But then with those colleagues, we want to be able to really craft them in a way that they become more and more effective. And also the other thing is that we're still in a mode right now where everyone has free access to everything. There's one feature that we don't give access to everyone at this point. It's the ability to craft your own colleague. But that's something that we want to make available as a premium feature of STS. And so if you're interested in that, give us a call. We can make that happen really easy, so
And
that
Barry,
you can experiment and do your own thing.
I was going to add a little piece. So, with respect to the AI colleagues having perspective, if you put the entire legal knowledge base in a board and you structured it in the right way, then that AI colleague would have that knowledge.
It could be true to Jonathan's question, Francis, a physicist.
That the physicist might be a challenge because of math.
Go on, Jonathan.
So, I volunteer too much, but as a physicist, I would be delighted to give you a hand creating a basic physics expert. And this is in all seriousness, because I say I've talked to some very, very, very powerful business consultants, and they are one step away from being scammed because they don't know the conservation of energy. So I'm not talking about high level physics. I really am talking about, you can't get more energy out of a thing than there is in the thing. Um, yeah. And the other one
Not
was
even with dark matter and dark energy. Maybe you can. I don't know.
I'm
We'll see.
yeah, well, there is such a thing as 0 point energy, but that doesn't mean you can get some tomorrow.
Yeah.
And the other one was the global risk consultant. So I'm pretty much au fait with the World Economic Forum
Mm.
thing, whole risk, the risk menu. And again, I would actually be delighted to work together to make a consult the risk consultant. Is the business
Yeah.
plan I'm going to do really stupid because you've forgotten the
Mm.
like
So
mineral.
Two answers to that. First, on the math thing and physics thing, when you ask a question to ChatGPT, there's actually 10 or 15 different models that they use behind the scene. They don't tell you about it, but they actually look at your questions and they send it to different components. But their way of looking at the world, OpenAI, is they have a gigantic hammer, and everything that they look at looks like the nail that this hammer that they've built might be used to hit into. So if you do have a concrete use case, like because of the way we're building STS, it's very easy for us to create those little plugins that will do the actual math. Like if you're talking about calculating energy disbursement of materials or whatever, like if you have something specific like that, like we're not limited to just calling LLMs. We can do anything, right? That's the beauty of you as a member of our community, you have an opportunity to work with us and collaborate with us, and if whatever you want to build, if there's a business opportunity and it's not doesn't go against our mission and our vision for STS, then why not? Like we're all open for that. The other thing about risk assessments and giving creating like a smarter context for an AI colleague. One of the things that, and I've mentioned that in previous calls, I initially thought instead of building STS, I thought of just adding a plugin to Miro because I liked Miro at the time. But then I realized that they have some fine prints in Miro that everything you put in there belongs to them, right? So what? No. So all that is to say that STS as a company and as individual, we do respect and value intellectual property. And so if any one of you want to build a kind of a knowledge base and expertise and make it available to either the larger community or to paid customers through STS, like we are very interested in making sure that we help you get not only the credit but also the money for that knowledge, for that intellectual know-how that you have and that you're willing to put into the tool.
Great. Thanks for the answer. I hope that helped. It is top of the hour. I just want to just to make note of that. You have another question there in the chat. We can continue with that, Jonathan, if you like. But I want to say, hopefully we've answered some of your questions, if not all of them that you have. Please do follow up with us. I'll drop a link in the chat too, where you can schedule a one-on-one with me. This is something we offer for those of you that participate within the webinars. So you can follow up with me on this. This includes just any questions or any specific use cases that maybe we haven't gotten into. The next thing I wanted to say is that we've started these as weekly now, these webinars, because we're having more and more users and more need to actually help folks get up and running. But we're going to move this to Thursday. So we're finding this is a better, more people seem to be available. It seems to be a better time. At least we're going to try it. We'll see. So it's going to be at the same time, but on Thursdays next week. So that's the 10th, the 17th, or the 16th, and that must be, will be the first one that will run on Thursdays at 3 p.m. Eastern. Friday? Sorry, Francis.
If you're done with that, I have something that is related to
okay.
Next Thursday. So I'm in the final stages of flip-flopping again. I've been there thinking about going to a San Francisco event next week, and I had decided not to go. And then I think I'm just about to reach a milestone and with my coding hat. So I'm ready to take on more business meetings. And there's also a vibe coding hackathon on Friday in San Francisco. So any one of you I'm thinking David specifically, but anyone else that's in the region, I'm still thinking about that, but I'll probably book my tickets later tonight if I've decided to go. I would be in the Palo Alto or San Francisco area, the Bay Area, Thursday and Friday of next week, not this week, next week. So 17 and 18. So
Great.
and
Excellent.
willing and happy to take any business with you or any contacts that you have that you think might be beneficial. Is Ari still on the call? Yes, Ari. Yes. I see your note there.
Yes, thank you. Let me know and I'll try to answer. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Priya, you had a last comment?
I was going to add if anyone has a use case to share in the upcoming meetings using STS. So if you have your own sort of, you've built a board, you want to share how it works during the upcoming meetings, we want to provide more opportunities for all of you to share what you've created as well.
Great.
Yeah, these meetings are for you guys, so you are the stars.
Great, thanks. Jonathan, was that a serious question? Is that or something for us to ponder?
So that is a link to a list of eco scams.
Okay.
So that is an example of all the eco scams that are kicking around at the moment that you must not be caught by. For example,
I like item number 1 on your list.
So this would be part of your, I imagine, your risk assessment for the one that you would create for yourself, right? You would for that to help you guide your business operations.
That's right. That would, yeah. So if I was a risk consultant,
right,
I would talk to the business owner and just say, thinking of investing in any of these? And you go, I can just save you $1 million. Don't go there.
Right, refined for you by your personal point of view. So that's good. Okay, if there's nothing else, I'll give you last call. But if not, thank you all so much. This has been another great conversation, and I really appreciate your time and feedback and ideas. Have a fantastic week, and hopefully we'll see you next Thursday, if not before online. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Ben.
All right, take care.